Hello, everyone. Welcome to KOK Live on Afia TV. You can reach out to us, or we can reach out to you from channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 GoTV, or Afia TV or official on all other social media platforms. This is a podcast that has come to present to you various topics in various areas of life. We make it happen on Afia TV. Today, we are going to have my industry business. Nollywood, the name of the Nigerian entertainment industry that has come to be placed the first or second. I don't know what I say in terms of quality or quantity, but the fact is we have been announced, written about in the world. Even when we don't write about ourselves, the world has written about us. We have featured many people, made stars and so on. So Nollywood is a story to be told. Today we have a very important guest, a filmmaker, he's a director, he's an actor, he's a writer. And most importantly, he's from the lineage of a man who stands tall, the man who played Okonkwo in Things Fall Apart, the man they call, like, you know, when they sing reggae, they say Demacor, Pete Edochie. It's not Pete that's here, but Pete's representative, his son, the one Demacor Linc Edochie. Linc is a short form of Lincoln. And today he's going to have a Nollywood conversation. Linc, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Why did you shorten it to Linc instead of Lincoln? Any special reasons?
No particular reason, but I think over the years, a lot of people have mispronounced the name. I've been called Jink, Ink, Vink. So I said, bros, it's Lincoln.
All right. So what was growing up like under a strict, I don't need to be told, your father is my friend, so he's a very strict person.
No, he is.
He's a man of culture. How was growing up under him like?
Whoa, okay. It was fun at some point, but of course, if your butt gets whooped a couple of times, it's not fun. But when I got older, I saw the reasons why a lot of those things happened. You know, because he had always said that if you give birth to a large number of boys and you're not firm with them, a lot of them are going to grow up into rascals. I didn't want that to happen because he also came from a family of boys, plenty of them.
That's
you know?
six of you. Mm-hmm. I know of you, I know of Uche, I know of Tony, I know of the one popular you.
Mm-hmm.
What does you stand for?
It was named after a Hollywood actor called Yul Brynner.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's Yuletide. No, it's just Yul.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, Nollywood, Nigeria's entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. When did you start your Nollywood journey?
That was in 1995.
95?
Yes. Then I was still in school in my higher institution. But there was this tendency I might get distracted. So I just put in a few years, went back to complete schooling, then got back again.
Which school did you attend?
Imo State University.
And what did you study?
Fine and applied arts. That's when I look at the artworks around here, it resonates.
So why are you not painting? Why are you Nollywood? Why Nollywood?
I started the first few years after graduation painting and exhibiting artists, but the passion for filmmaking kept drawing me by the, oh my God, continue that way they do now. Wow.
Or you saw the money?
I think
because I have this thing that most, especially the girls, they hear Genevieve earns 5 million or Motola earns 10 million. They are attracted by the money, not by the passion. So what attracted you?
No, it wasn't really about the money. I'd always loved the idea of, you know, creating something, appearing, you know, on television, because it started from when we were kids. You know, back in the days when my father was in the Anambra Broadcasting Service, so sometimes you might have a few TV programs and all that. One or two was done in the house where I played a very junior character, come and get a bottle of water, and that's it. But as I transitioned into an adult, I thought it wasn't about the money. The biggest mistake a lot of people make is thinking that success is overnight. It's over time.
That's it.
There is no
not
success.
Overnight.
Not overnight. It's over time. And you have to be consistent with this thing. There are three things I usually tell people. If you don't have discipline, commitment, and consistency, you can't succeed at anything.
You know, the way you speak, I remember the way your father speak. Consistent.
Blood no dey
On
man
Nagimologe. So, Nollywood has come under a lot of bashing for good and for bad. How does it bother you about sexual harassment in the industry? Does that bother you?
Oh yes, it bothers me.
Is it real?
It is real. I won't lie, because we're not going to sit here and pretend like it doesn't exist. It exists. Sometimes I get calls from a number of, young people who want to join the business. I say, okay, this is the criteria. But by the time they experience some things that are not so pleasant, they turn around, but Uncle, you didn't tell me that. I say, if I tell you everything, you'll get discouraged. But it's not a good thing. I don't believe you must get down with someone before you offer them a role. It makes no sense. What if they have nothing to offer here? Because beneath all that body, there has to be a brain. If you cannot handle this business, then all that body makes no sense.
Talking about the brain, most girls I've come across behave the same from all schools I've attended. University of Lagos, University of Abuja, and so on. The ones who don't read will always say, that lecturer is harassing me. So you see many beautiful girls in Nollywood can't even read a line. And some of them will tell you that producer wants to sleep with me.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem because
they believe in their beauty, not what they can give.
Then now we are in an age where everybody wants to cosmetically enhance their bodies. Where you hear the term BBL.
Yes.
Breast and butt enlargement. If you enlarge all of these things, you're labeling yourself something else. It goes beyond entertainment. You must have some clandestine plan somewhere. But if you cannot interpret a role given to you, of what use is the enlargement?
Of course, this brings me to, you remember the joke we used to crack? A girl was asked to catwalk. And she started walking like a cat.
I started walking like a cat. Uncle, they forget something.
So it's an industry for people. For you to be an actor, you must be intelligent.
Yes.
To take lines and transform to the character, you must be intelligent. So I take an exception to many people. I'm not also saying there's no sexual harassment, but I say many people are not prepared before they come into Nollywood.
No, a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. Like sometimes I ask people, what form of training have you undergone?
Very good.
Because in this business, it is fiercely competitive. At some point, you will drop by the wayside and decide to do something else. Because you meet people who came firing from all cylinders from day one. Now, if you're going to be able to match them, you cannot fire the first salvo alone. You have to be prepared. And if there's nothing here, you can't do it. People think we play, but there's very serious work in what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
We might look like we're very relaxed because over the years, we've gotten used to it, but there's a whole lot of work that goes in before we get in there.
Do you, I had this experience. Then it was called ATV. This was 1984, 85. My Oga then, Walter Enore, he's still alive. Hails from Ezago here or something like that. I told Victor Yamba yesterday to remind me that we'll drive and see him, to thank him for all the years he mentored me. He called me, the presenter of the quiz program as a 1984 was Walter Omife. Walter Omife did not come for the particular episode that we were to shoot. Because I had won on the platform 3 times in the quiz, I came first and came first and came first. Walter called me that Walter Omife was not going to be present in the studio that day and told me I was going to be the presenter. I ran away. I ran across the road, when the man caught me. I was drinking a bottle of beer to give me that confidence to go and present. So is drug enhancement anything near content development, content making you to perform extraordinarily?
No. I think the people who try to enhance themselves or their brains with drugs have a bit of a confidence problem. Because the truth is, apart from that temporary, feeling that it gives you that you're on top of your game. Aire, as they say, by the time the effects begin to set in,
waning,
and you see the psychedelic destruction that it can bring upon you, then you start wondering, why did I even get into this? I've had that experience before, back in my university days.
Tell us about it.
We were starving, my roommate and I. So went to a few friends, who lived not far from the school. But I went to Nagia, we're not up since morning, boy, go and take that rice in that pot. And there was this happiness on his face. I didn't know why he was laughing. What was so special about the rice? Was it international rice or the same local cuisine? I ate the rice. It tasted so nice. I said, boy, no vex. I don't mind the second spoon. Though. Hey, boy, enjoy yourself. When the problem starts, don't say I didn't warn you. And uncontrollably, the problem started. Everything started transforming. The colors were different. Come and cross the road when we were done. A small poodle of water looked like
you saw it like Lagos Lagoon.
Then would run backwards, trying to jump over the water. I still jumped inside the water. That's how stupid drug is. You end up looking very foolish and all that. I found out you don't need any of these things. It's about when you get addicted, it becomes a problem, honestly, because leaving it, that withdrawal syndrome, and most times when you try to suggest rehab for people, they feel you're insulting them.
Yeah.
Not knowing that gradually it will end up messing with your brain. The brain is such a delicate part of the body. The brain has about 13.1 billion cells and is able to record 15 billion pieces of information. There are parts of your brain responsible for retaining something that you've taken in. If the memory is destroyed, then you can't function. You end up becoming a vegetable because that's what in the long run the drug will do to you. For the ones that probably do harder drugs, that do some sniffing, to end up eating up the bridge of this place. You have one gaping hole here. And of course, it allows all sorts of, bacteria and virus to move in there.
But of recent, I have been in constant discussion with the president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, Emeka Rolas, and he is worried about the intake of drugs in the industry. You see some artists before recording, before a shoot, lock themselves up in cars, taking something and so on. How deeply does it worry you being a practitioner and somebody who is at the ringside of the industry?
In all honesty, sir, I've been extremely worried about it. Sometimes when you try to speak with some of our people, not necessarily in an advisory capacity, but out of concern,
yes,
it turns into another thing. See you. The next thing, the person begins to tell you, oh, you feel you're better than I am, you feel your brains are clearer or something. Then there's this very unhealthy comparison. I can see what you're not seeing, not because I have prophetic powers, but I know people who have been destroyed over the years. If you can get help, assuming you become an addict, please do. And I know the president of the Actors Guild, of Nigeria has spoken severally on this thing, and he has even advised people who are having issues, why don't you check into a rehab? But it's painful when it goes into one ear and quickly flies out the other. Not everybody understands. You think you're publicly being shamed. No. And how long can you even sustain such a habit? Because at some point, even your own career will take a nosedive.
Diabolism or diabolical acts. I hear say some actors, they waka. Some actors, in parentheses, means either a female or a male. So you don't see somebody where they waka, or you don't hear about somebody where they waka.
I've never seen. I've heard rumors, but I never hold on to rumors. But the thing I know about diabolism is it cuts across every sector of society. And I think it's more of a peer pressure thing. Somebody feels that that person is doing better than me, then some very obscure diminutive character somewhere tells you, you got a problem from your village and all that. How? Are you looking good the way you are? Then you're trying to suggest to somebody.
Like you heard about Allah Asaba. You go suck Bobby,
and got into trouble. We never got out of the Allah. At the end of the day, people learned the wrong things from there. These things don't help anybody. I'm sorry to say, I don't know who's watching. The devil has no free gift. And once you cross that path into the dark side, rescuing your soul becomes an uphill task. God gave us everything freely. What are you looking? The devil created nothing. He only steals what has been created and tries to claim ownership. It makes no sense. And at some point, because they'll never tell you the price you will pay.
Yes.
Just like people say,
marriage is like a secret code. They don't go tell you when you go see inside until you enter.
Tell you. Like my big brother Ken Okonkwo was living in Bonde Polo. That sort of thing. Nobody tells you everything. The deeper you go into this, at some point you start wondering, okay, you start losing your sanity, your character, everything. Then you probably start living as a recluse in some very obscure corner. And people are wondering what happened.
Okay. Now, could that also be responsible for the early death of some actors where go put hand where they're not supposed to put hand, or medical negligence amongst the actors? Because this will take us to the case of Junior Pope, there was no life vest, and they still went on the boat and so on. So is it a lifestyle by those who have made name in the industry, not conforming to things that are supposed to be conformed to, or there is something somewhere?
Yeah, I think more of the medical angle, and in Junior Pope's own case, rest his soul, was my very good friend and a kid brother. I think there was a bit of ignorance here. There's something I usually tell people: nothing is worth risking your life for, because you must emerge alive now to be celebrated. And now you look at certain things. I don't know how to swim. I will not get into any form of water without protection. I don't know what transpired. I wasn't there. You only heard, reports from various corners and pockets of, conversation. But at the end of the day, it was something regrettable, and it was obviously avoidable. Now, here we are. We've lost someone who had a very bright future, a really good guy.
My son and Professor Jumbo.
I remember, and when I saw some of those videos, like, oh, Jesus, why? We lost someone. I attended the burial. There was a mammoth crowd there, and nobody was happy. Nobody was happy. I said, we pray that we learn something from here. Even abroad, there's this Hollywood actor, Alec Baldwin, that is on trial now for shooting someone, to death with a gun. He didn't know the gun
was loaded.
Live bullets.
Live bullets, yes.
How do you explain that? So sometimes mistakes happen, but consciously, we've got to be able to avoid certain things that can potentially put us in trouble.
Some top actors live like they have 9 lives.
Nobody has 9 lives.
You have a situation where an actor shoots back to back, no rest, doesn't check his medical condition, and so on. And then at the end, he's sick and announced on TV for help. People now begin to question health status, health insurance, and so on. What is it for actors and other practitioners?
Yes, I think in this case, that there's something. Before the health insurance, you as a person, you should know your health status. Now, there's a very silent killer that's been wiping up a lot of people, whether you're an actor or not. Most people hardly check their blood pressure. And you see, the blood pressure is tied to a lot of terminal sicknesses. You can give a stroke and cause a cardiac arrest. If you're diabetic, it's even worse. When a lot of these things combine, it can potentially mess you up. Now, if you are used to working back to back, the onus is on you to plead with the producer, give me a few days break. I was on a production a couple of months back. I wasn't feeling too good with myself. I think I probably injured myself somewhere in the gym. I was done with one production. We're supposed to start the other one the following day. I told the production manager, I need to go see my doctor. I need to know what I'm passing through. At the end of the day, there was a misconception somewhere. The executive producer got angry and, please refund me my money. I said, sorry, my health first, take your money. I'm not going to risk my life for it. But when I know, if I break down on that set, what will happen? They say another, disaster happened. Let me go. Maybe there's a replacement. I hate it when someone has to put me in a tight corner. But this health, I'm not a young man by any stretch of imagination anymore. Nearer 50. Back in the days, in my 20s, 30, it was possible. Now it's not the same thing. There are days you wake up, certain parts of your body don't respond like you used to. And you start seeing gray hair in different places, either in your nose or here or there, and you're wondering. So you have to take special care of yourself. Nobody makes all the money in one day. And when you make the money, make out time to go for medical checkups and find out.
What is all this hula baloo about old Nollywood and new Nollywood?
In all honesty, I don't quite understand it. If you're talking old Nollywood, are you referring to the first practitioners that started new Nollywood, the new kids on the block?
Want people like us and your father to die?
I don't understand. I don't understand. There shouldn't be a demarcation. In everything, you'll always have newer kids on the block. Always. So you can't say this is new Nollywood. Oh, no. It's the same Nollywood. But as people grow older, they'll also encourage younger ones, to get into the business. At the end of the day, nobody stays on top forever.
That's it.
People will keep coming and going. Like they say, soldier come, soldier
go. Barak still remain.
So
it's an unnecessary divide people are creating. I feel so sorry about it because you have our friends from the north having Kannywood. You have our friends from the southwest having Yoruwood or something like that. But the thing is this, when they are going to the embassy, They say we are members of the Nollywood industry. So why all the divisions?
Was there even a wood in the first place?
You tell me.
All of those divisions don't matter.
Don't matter.
Irrespective of tribe, we're all under the same umbrella.
Yes.
Whether you're producing films in English or in your local language, it does not matter. We're all one. After all, there are productions where you draw people from all parts of the country, and it turns into a huge success. So what are we talking about? It doesn't matter.
Really
It
matter.
doesn't matter at all.
Well, I had discussed earlier with some people, the National Film and Video Censors Board had made some statements about use of drug, smoking in movies, glamorous display of wealth. And it came to, I was actually one of the first to tell the Minister of Information that you can't gauge Nollywood's content creation. You can't gag creativity. You can't stifle creativity. So what is it for you for protection? They talked about an area where I'm seen as chairman. They say I'm a king of rituals, African region. So I begin to ask the minister, you have to give us how you guys want to end corruption, rigging of election. As an actor and a filmmaker, what is it about creativity that government, where should they divide, stop? Where should it begin? Well, so that they don't stifle creativity.
And truly, they are stifling creativity without knowing it. For me, if a production threatens, the security of a country, or maybe you're exposing a few things that shouldn't be talked about.
That's when it can be regulated.
But come on, drugs, there's people smoke, drink, and you see this in foreign movies. If you permit it in a foreign movie, why would you ban it in an indigenously produced movie? And at any rate, since you guys have classification, if this is for people of a certain age,
you classify it for that age.
There, like a film might require some kind of violence, and you say, no, the bleeding is too much. You cannot censure what a writer has put down somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a reason he told that story in that manner.
Passion of the Christ. Since I started watching movies, I have never seen Jesus bleed like he bled in Passion of the Christ. But they still allowed it.
That was the bloodiest ever.
Bloodiest I have ever seen.
Even the director and producer, Mel Gibson, felt, a little concerned.
Yes. But I never see how Jesus suffered for that film.
The picture he was trying to paint was, since none of us witnessed it, because we were not born then, but the stories that were told, that it was very gruesome. And he tried to capture it the way it may have happened.
Exactly.
And all of that.
They still allowed Nigerians to watch it. But what we make locally, they want to stifle. Come
on now. Every day you hear someone caught with human head there. Some politician found with, headless bodies.
Exactly.
You won't talk about that. But the moment you produce a film, everybody begins to go gaga over. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand the context in which this is done. And also has to be educated more. You cannot put a tag or a blockade on a writer's ability to create something. You can't do that. What is the message? After all, a movie serves two purposes, entertainment and education.
If it and information.
And information. If it doesn't entertain you, inform, if it's not didactic, then what's the point? So along these three lines, if it doesn't cut any of these things, then there's an issue somewhere.
Now, there's also a very disturbing scenario in the industry about this same-sex thing and all this stuff. And I've even heard people point fingers and call names. Without calling names here, what's your stand? What's your view about, man, they do man?
I've never really understood how it works. The only thing I know was, and I like to use biblical references, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed with sulfur and brimstone because of such despicable acts. The three angels that came to rescue Lot and his family found just how dangerously and morally bankrupt these people were. And they started to blind all of them so they could sneak Lot and his family out of there. Now, if God wasn't happy about it then, he won't be happy about it now. Like I said, this entire thing is part of the deceptive plans. The devil has on this society. I don't understand it. Okay, sometimes I think it even borders on selfishness. A man and a woman come together to give birth to a child. Now, a man and a man come together. What are they doing? Just enjoying themselves? Okay, fine. Maybe it's their lifestyle. I'm not intruding into that. How do you bring more offsprings into the world? No, that's a bit of selfishness. For me, makes no sense. Now, I've not seen anybody say, okay, this is this and all of that. But like I said, if back in the days it wasn't accepted, I don't think the rules have changed that much. Except someone is pushing an agenda which obviously never started in this country. We know what the Western world usually does. They keep trying to, maybe if you must render help to some African country, you guys have to accept this. No way. If this is not part of your life, so you can't force it down someone's throat.
Now, the future of Nollywood, give us your vision about the future of Nollywood against the backdrop of quality movies, big budgets. How can we attract collaborations, partnerships? Because Nollywood's creative ability, people see content these days on YouTube, Amazon Prime, Showmax, Netflix, and they see big budgets and so on. But the small players are still the ones with the highest number to give. So what is it for you for Nollywood and the future?
Well, currently, Nollywood has done marvelously well. And the thing is, for as long as newer platforms for distribution keep cropping up, they can only grow beyond what it is now. Now, of course, people play on different levels. Different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, TV, and all of that might have a bit of a modest budget, depending on the kind of story. The same story can also gulp a much larger budget if you're targeting cinema, Netflix, Prime, Paramount, and all of that. And of course, we know that a big budget movie, there's a target audience, normally. Okay, sometimes a smaller player, in quotes, if we'll describe him as a smaller player, because funding a movie is never an easy thing. Kudos to anybody who's an executive producer. It takes a lot to invest in a film. You might want to do something, you find out that you don't have enough funds. That is when you probably have to reach out to corporate organizations. There was a lecture I attended organized by Afia TV once where Uncle Femi Odugbemi talked about big budget movies. That as an actor or maybe as a producer, you cannot put your money into that sort of project if you don't have it. You must reach out to people. And he mentioned something like a pitch deck that most people have probably never heard of. It is the pitch deck. That's like the business plan of filmmaking, where an investor can look at. By the time you go through a couple of pages, he already knows the end result of this, because some of the people involved and how you prepared it will further convince him that, okay, this can bring back big bucks. But sometimes the mistake we make is approaching someone to maybe sponsor something. You're looking at just where it benefits you. Show him the money or her the money. If he or she knows that I can make money from this, naturally they'll come on board. But if it's about you alone, they won't listen to you.
All right. So the last 2 or 3 questions I'm going to ask you are going to be topical. And I have had a colleague say it. Say Nigeria, God will punish many rich men for Nigeria. They only help our girls. You swear the same swear?
It depends on my mindset. The average rich man.
Because you and I know.
Yes.
The average fine, good actress in Nollywood is patronized.
For sure.
For one small thing where they, BBL, Twin Tower. The men are not given. So.
That's actually a bit of, apart from selfishness, a different level of infinite foolishness on the part of the men.
Infinite foolishness.
Yes, on the part of the men. Like Igbo say, whatever you have with any of these women at that point in time is like a fleeting moment of
men help men.
Men need to help men. We need to talk to ourselves. We need to pull ourselves up from, the miry clay. We rise.
Yeah, because I've not seen a Nollywood lady or girl call for financial help when she's sick. It's only the men that
They
call for
don't.
financial help.
Because a lot of women have access to awesome resources, but most time the men will call for financial help because nobody will even talk to you. And it's painful. And sometimes, how much is the person even asking for? If you can get on a private jet and take a young lady to Dubai,
Right.
shop plenty of gold in the streets of
If
Dubai,
you
from
walk
there
in
to
there,
Abu
man, if
Dhabi,
you-
probably end up in Stad and Bastad and all that. But this guy is dying, and this is the same man. That, come on, man. It's painful. It's pain. Like, there's something my dad usually says. He says, God gives you wealth to help other people. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
If you want to retain everything for yourself, it's of no use. You can only drive one car at a time.
Exactly.
Sleep in one bedroom at a time. Live in one house at a time.
Yes.
Nobody ever spread himself in 20 places. It doesn't work that way. So try to help your fellow men and don't wait for some kind of a result or to be paid back. Heaven has recorded your good deed.
That's it.
Help the person.
Now, a long time ago, even 2 years ago, I had to come to the defense of Nollywood because they said some of our content was demarketing Nigeria. Are we not demarketing Nigeria? They were showing occultic movies. They were showing unnecessary spraying of money. Has Nollywood ever demarketed Nigeria, or we have been the mirror of what our society is?
We've been the mirror for the longest time. If anybody has that, convoluted impression that we're demarketing Nigeria, then you're making a mistake. Okay, fine. You look at the average Western movie where there's plenty of violence. People are killed with a bunch of semi-automatics and very dangerous weapons. Are they not demarketing their own nation? But in their nation, you have assassins and thugs that behave that way. Now, if they can put that up on the big screen, but at the end of it, they're not glorifying it, no.
Yes.
Because at the end, everybody probably gets to face the law.
The law, yes.
Or there's one lone ranger who decides to take out everybody.
Exactly.
Is that an ex-military attaché or some super assassin that goes after everybody? The same thing happens here.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this, we're not demarketing. If you tell a very boring story, to a very large extent, nobody will watch.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that is fast-paced, keeps you at the edge of your seat. A pulse-pounding, hair-raising, nail-biting story. Come on, everybody will watch. And it's only some of these things that will attract the attention of people.
Except, I say within
simple.
our own environment.
Within our own
we
environment.
have a jurisdiction. When you go to, if you're not a man in New York, he pulls a gun. Our own, if you're not a man in the village, you go somewhere.
Naturally now, look at the situation.
Exactly.
It's normal. That's what are you talking about?
Against the backdrop of where you are coming from and so on, we've talked about the future. How can we set up necessary structures for upcoming actors and so on to be able to tell them that this industry has a history? Because some of them come in, like I said, for the money they see, for the BBL, and so on. Everybody thinks he can act and so on. But what necessary structures do you think we can place to make sure Nollywood in the next 10, 15, 20 years, or when we are no longer there or active or gone, some element of sanity can be brought?
Because I think there are two factors here. The first, I would say, is already in place. More of it, needs to happen. Seminars, workshops, conferences, reminding people of where we started from, where we are, and where we are going. A lot of people have never attended one workshop. And you think it's just by, watching certain movies. And most people don't even read good books.
Yeah.
You listen to someone.
Yeah, that's to be said.
Most people don't read good books.
And for you to be a very intelligent actor, you need to be a reader.
You can barely make a simple sentence in English. Now, there's a difference between passable English, good English, and babyish syntax. Most people actually are on that babyish syntax pedestal because they have no knowledge of history, of how this whole thing started, the sacrifices that the early practitioners made, and the way forward. And this is what it should be. It should be retained. Of course, a whole lot of influence from, outside the country is definitely going to affect what is happening. But more of these seminars, and these people should be encouraged. Occasionally go there, upgrade what you know, get to know how it all started, then decide for yourself. Then number two, the government has to come in here. All over the world, in especially advanced countries, the government protects the entertainment industry. They have to come in.
Yes.
It's not just trying to
But they generate employment, create goodwill for the country.
Yes. It's not just showing all that gross domestic product chart and all of that. No. Forget the DY, the X. This is not calculus or integration in mathematics. This is business, and it has to be protected. We may not have all of the knowledge. That's why you guys are there as power brokers to do this, so that peradventure things start going wrong. You can even fight some of our battles. There are people that pirate our movies, take it outside the country, turn it into 50 different languages, and make 1 billion times more than the producer who suffered from scratch. And what is the government doing about it?
Now, storytelling. Most people have come to say that when we made Living in Bondage in 1992 to the year 2000 and so on, our stories were tight. And most people also, even in the diaspora, got tired of what was giving out later. So what prime do you see between when we started and now? What stories should be told? Should we tell stories because you're going to make 5 million views on YouTube? Should we tell stories because this is what people like? Or should we tell stories that have to protect national security, public interest, and so on?
Well, I think it goes both ways, because anybody who invests money in the filmmaking business hopes to get his money back and some profit. And at the end of the day, from what I've learned in recent times, it's not necessarily about what you want as much as what the audience wants. If the target platform is YouTube, for instance, what is YouTube looking at? Now, it doesn't take away from the fact that there are stories and there are stories. And again, I think there's been a transition. Back in 1992, it was most of what was happening around us, because same stories mirror the society. Today, things are changing, but you still have an elite few who appreciate that sort of thing. Of course, there's some sort of modification now, a bit of technology and all of that. Like when, you did Living in Bondage to Breaking Free.
Breaking Free, yeah.
Things had changed a bit. It wasn't like...
My son was still...
Exactly.
I had a son who had gotten to 30 years old and so on.
Unlike then, it was you guys as younger men. Now you had a son. Kenneth Okonkwo had a son, and the grandmaster was probably somebody else somewhere.
Exactly.
I decided to take it to another level. So things are changing. There are still good stories, because a film is successful when the story itself is intact. So at some point, we must make room for some of those kinds of stories, not just what a particular platform wants. If you're not looking at the money, you can tell a story that must, resonate some of the values that we grew up with.
Okay. Now, we're going to be rounding up, but the viewer will not forgive me if I don't ask you a question. Make I ask. Make I ask.
I will ask.
Okay, your brother Linc Edochie went to get another wife. And he's been on the social media raving on her life. And people are asking, are you the first Nigerian to take a second wife or third wife? You all over the social media. Spare us that thing and marry quietly and so on. How do you feel? How does the family feel about it?
Well, okay, this is a bit of a dicey one. I think the truth is...
That's why it's coming almost last.
Yes. Everybody has a right to live as they choose, in all honesty. But there's something Baron Montesquieu in his book, The Spirit of the Laws.
Yes.
Charles Baron Louis de Montesquieu said, one man's right to swing his hands ends where another man's right to defend his nose begins. If a certain decision could hurt someone close to you, you must think about it again and again. We are, a people of culture, Africans. Nothing says you can't do that. But sometimes it might be with the consent of the person closest to you. You feel there's something missing. It's your life. You're an adult. You're not being spoon-fed for any reason. Then there's something, if BDK, my father, kept saying and keeps saying, take your marriage away from social media. People need to realize it, because the moment there's a glitch somewhere,
they tap into it.
The same people
they buy into it. Who said, crucify him,
bury you alive. This is normal. Because there's something I learned long ago. If there is something a society loves more than a hero, it's to see the hero fall, fail, or die trying. So none of us is really a hero. It just takes one mistake, and we're like the twin brother of the devil. So be mindful of what you put out there. There's a young man I worked with not long ago, Kenneth Mwadike in Lagos.
Yes,
disciplined young man. You will hardly see anything about Kenneth on social media. He likes it that way.
Yes, sir.
Just his work. Because what you don't know, you can't ruin.
You can't, yes. All right. If you're resting your case on that, I will also rest it on this. It's been a very beautiful moment for Nollywood conversations with my younger colleague and brother, the man we call Linc Edochie. He's been able to dissect this topic, and I hope you enjoyed it. Linc, be rest assured, you're a man of culture. I'm going to bring you on this show again, KOK Live with Afia TV, to discuss another topic. I think our viewers enjoyed your comment today, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, I love it.
I feel seamlessly like this is what Nollywood should be.
And I got the chance to see you again.
All right. Thank you for watching, man. Good luck.